Hey guys, I'm just going to walk you through using the DesignFiles website. I'm going to try to make it fairly short and quick, but if you have any more specific questions once you get started, please feel free to send me an email or Schoology message. Okay, so when you first get in and you've created your account, this will be the window you see. We're just going to enter in by clicking on that and then creating our design. We're going to go with the mood board / room board option, but if you want to use some extra time or free time to play around with the floor plan option, feel free to do that. We just won't use it for our projects this semester. So we're going to go into our room board, and the first thing I personally like to do is zoom out so that I can see just the full blank canvas here. Again, that's just a personal preference, so you do not have to do that. I just like to see the full space I'm working with. And I would also recommend starting with an empty room from the library, especially at the beginning. That way you already have your space framed out and you don't have to envision your design quite as much. So I'm just going to start with a simple room that I will click and drag over to my canvas, and then I will resize the space to fit this area. Now we will ultimately just be screenshotting our designs. They won't be presented formally through the website. So if your image goes a little bit over your canvas, it's not that big of a deal, but I do try to keep it relatively the correct size. And once you have that positioned, go ahead and click this lock button, which will lock your design in place. And that way you can't accidentally click and drag it or move it around when you didn't mean to. So what I like to personally add first is usually a rug. I just think it helps kind of frame the space and makes it seem a little bit more personalized right off the bat. So I'm just going to look for a rug by typing a rug in the search bar, and I'll just scroll through to see if I can find one that inspires me. I think this one's really fun, so I'm going to go with that one. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate mine so it seems to fit the space a little better, but obviously it still doesn't really look like it's in the room. So what I need to do is use this tool over here called the Distort Perspective tool. And it's going to bring me these little gray circles on the corners that I can click and drag to resize into the room. And this kind of just makes it look like it's actually on the floor, or if we're using it for a piece of art, we can make it look like it's actually on the wall. Lots of different things we can do with this tool. So I'm going to click away, and now I'm going to move the rug because it feels like it's maybe not quite positioned where I would have wanted it. And that's a little better. I can also resize the rug after I've distorted it if I want to maybe make it a little smaller than originally planned. And you can always go back in and make adjustments later if necessary. So I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. There we go. And one trick that I like to follow is, especially for rugs, I try to follow the angle of the wall as much as possible. And that usually helps it look just slightly more realistic. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect though. So click away from the rug, and now you have your rug positioned. Next, I think I'm gonna make this maybe like a small, just delete that, a small setting room. So I'm gonna look for a sofa. And you know what? I think it'd be fun if we could find a pink sofa inspired by that rug. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna click and drag over, and I will make it just a little bit bigger. Right, like that. And you can obviously make it bigger or smaller. You can move it forward and back. All of those things are going to change the perspective of the space. So keep in mind you're wanting to use the space well, and part of that will be playing around with the perspective and angles. Okay, and you can always readjust later if you need to. So next I'm going to look for a chair. And several will come up. Let's go with maybe this one. Okay, so say I like this chair, maybe need to resize that so it looks a little bit more realistic to the couch. Good enough for the example. Okay, and maybe I really love the look of this, and maybe I want it to flank the couch, so I have one on each side. So what I could do is click this duplicate button. Now I have two of them, but I want this other one over here. So now I can click this transform button, and it will just mirror that image. There's also a transform button that flips it the other way. Obviously, that's not necessary for this example, but there might be some other pieces of furniture or artwork that you want to do that with. So that is an option. Okay. So from here, you can just kind of play around with the furniture. I'm going to add a coffee table. That one. And you'll notice, unfortunately, adding this table does not really help it show up how I'm wanting it. So I'm going to try playing with the background. Right now it's a little bit too removed. If I lessen that here, that brings it back a little more. So I will save and see if that works better. And unfortunately, it still just doesn't really pop in my space like I was hoping it would. So I'm going to delete that. So essentially what you can see here, you're just going to play around. There's lots of different tools that will allow you to add different furniture and design. You can search for those things just by searching whatever it is you're looking for. If you're looking for artwork, you can search for that. You can try to be specific. I find that searching kind of vague descriptions are going to be what's best. But this will allow you to find a lot of cool design tools and add them to your space. I'm going to add another video later that goes over just some more basic details, but this hopefully will get you started.